Greetings, Darklings, from across the interwebs. It is once again I, the Duchess, Precious Ken, and I have with me in person. I can smell the glory of his fully vaccinated musk.
It's P-Tink, Collin Skipper. What's up? It's been a minute. Missed you, buddy.
It's been too long, buddy. I miss you. Collin is rocking a sweet hat that I got for myself, but it was too small for my big ass head, but it looks darling on him. And our show is once again brought to you by Bell's Oberon. We live in Kalamazoo. What the fuck else are we going to drink? Bell's Oberon. As always, we have an amazing and exciting guest who today just dropped a fire fucking video that I have played 20 times today and can't get enough of. So we will be talking about that. Moris Blak. Say hello to everyone.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Our pleasure. Let's get started out. Just give me a little bit of history for how this project came into being, some of your musical history on it, and then what brought you up to the album I found you at, which is the... Hold on, I got to say this right. It's too small on here. Hold on, I gotta scroll up because it's the second word that I'm gonna say wrong. Now I feel bad. That was dumb.
This is why we have editing. So
irregularity of being,
Yes.
And which made that was 2019. That was on the top albums of the year list that you made. So
I remember. Thank you.
Congrats
very much.
on that, sir. So tell us a little bit about your history and what brought you up to that album, and then we're gonna talk about the future, baby.
All right. So I'm 32. I'm definitely 32 now. And I have basically I've always been a big music nerd. I mean, I'm definitely a music nerd before an actual musician, if we're being honest here.
Sure.
I've been kind of dabbling with different genres of music since I was like 17 years old, back when I was really into metal. I was in a lot of metal bands when I was younger.
I saw some pictures.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Black metal, especially the goofiest of all metal. I had a long history with that. And I started becoming more interested in electronic music when my gateway drug was basically industrial, things like Wumpscut and V&V Nation and Combi Christ and, all the things that were coming out in the early 2000s. And that catapulted me just into the realm of electronic music in general. I've always veered towards the dark and heavy stuff, even when I'm leaving the realms of industrial, but that has always been my interest. I just think there's something weird and otherworldly about electronic music. The idea that you make sounds that do not exist in the real world, things that just completely pull you out of reality. That's my shit right there. I can say shit, right?
You can say anything you fucking want. We do constantly.
Yes. Love you guys. So I was kind of dabbling with music for most of my 20s, but it got to a point where I realized it was just, making music takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of mental energy, a lot of physical energy. And especially when you're starting out, I mean, you're working a full-time job. So I decided to start a new project with a very clear a very clear idea of what I wanted to do, what kind of music I wanted to make, like the image I wanted to have, and just really put everything I had into it for a year. And either it's gonna pick up, I'm gonna be proud of my work, I'm gonna want to continue doing it, or I need to take the hint that this 10 years worth of writing music is just not going anywhere. So just end it. And I put together my first EP, which was Dead Summer. It got picked up by Pete Crane, Shivers label, Blind Mice Production. And
awesome dude.
Yeah, honestly, and that was kind of the motivation I needed at the time to really put everything into my craft. That's when I really started trying to learn every little thing I could about electronic music and the tools that I'm using. And I'd say after about a year or two into that project, I really figured out what I wanted to do. And I'm still in shock that people are, reacting to it the way that, I wanted them to. It's been a wild 4 years and I'm very grateful for it.
Nice. I don't think you should be in shock at all. I know we all deal with our imposter syndrome.
Oh,
Everybody
hell
does.
yeah. Every day.
But
Every day.
I'll tell you what, I hear a lot. And like EBM type stuff, or, you know, just in general, that like borderline industrial is not usually my thing. It's a little, you know, a little bit too hard and bassy for me. But just like anything in life, there is a few bands of every genre in the world that I can really just fully get into if they're at the top of the game. And you are one of them for that stuff. Like when I hear your stuff, I go run into a dance floor, my man. It is just the craft of it, the way you do transitions, and just the enormous punch you in the fucking kidneys bass that you achieve, but still make things musical and melodic. And I think that's the real glory of it. Is like a lot of people, that's just it, like stop at the I want to make their balls rattle. And I think where you take it to another level is there is a beauty, and you bring in a lot of guest vocalists, a lot of collaboration and people that you work with that just create something where I'm bopping my head and enjoying the melody of it. At the same time, I am boot stomping a floor as hard as I can because it just keeps pounding and pounding and going. And so to me, brother, that is the thing that you are hitting on all cylinders.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
So I brought up a second ago, I'm going to let you jump in a second. Collaboration is something that you've been really effective at. And I think there's a lot of other bands out there in other genres that I hear doing the, I'll write the music, but then bring in another vocalist to kind of add another flavor and help me out with that. And your album did a ton of that. You had Pete Crane on there, Angel Metro, some others. Why don't you tell me about some of the people that you worked with and how you felt that was going to take the songs that you were doing to another level?
So when I'm doing a collaboration, I'm doing it, you know, to bring in a new flavor to the song that I couldn't do myself, things I wouldn't normally think of. But also, I think a more important thing is that every time I do a collaboration, I learn something new about music making.
Yeah.
Everyone's bringing like their own experience, their own training, and their own style and techniques into something. And this, you know, this is a little more obvious for like when I work with producers, like on The Regularity of Being. I did a track with Noir Antidote that I was really excited about. And part of the reason I did that is because I started writing a real like witch housey kind of sounding track, and it was something I wanted to do, but I kind of wanted to work with somebody who is better at it than I am.
Sure.
So I reached out to Noir Antidote, who big fan of his work. It's just he has a very uniquely unsettling music that I absolutely love. And I brought him in and kind of just learned a lot about like how he structures things, like his melodies. When I work with songwriter, like you know, singers, people who write lyrics, I usually give them very sparse instructions with what I want them to do, mostly like just places I want vocals to be. And I've had a lot of vocalists like go way above and beyond what I asked them to do, you know, give me vocal parts for different things, like give me suggestions on how to like structure the song. And the song which has just been so much better because of it. Is it too early to jump into Burying Place?
No, we're going to get to talking about that, but jump in now. I mean, to me, I heard that today, and of course, so it was fresh in my mind, exactly what I'm talking about, that being a song that floored me today with the fucking intensity and power, and that it feels like there's 5 songs in that song. You do some great transitions and changes in it, and the vocals on it are gorgeous. They just add a whole other level of power and a lot of emotion. I felt like in almost I'll use this example, like in an Alanis Morissette kind of way, when you hear like somebody pouring their heart out in there, and then you add that with your like aggressive, intense, non-pop music beats, and it just becomes this beautiful stabbing ice knife. And I fucking love it.
Was still very relatable and accessible.
Yeah.
And that's what really got me, and what really excited me about it was instantly the vocals come in, and I'm attached to this emotionally as well as sonically. So
She was telling a story, and I was enthralled by that story and following along with it like a fucking audio book on top of her great delivery and lyrics.
so how did we get there?
Yeah, tell us now. Sorry, we got rambling.
No, that's good. You know, transitioning from like what I was saying before, I've been a fan of Snuff. Snuff is a really cool, well now defunct, but the material they released, they were actually like pretty influential. Like when I was first starting out, they had a real like raw bass sound that I really gravitated towards, and definitely like some of my earlier work, I was definitely trying to do some things that Snuff did. So the fact that it all kind of came around, and now I get to work with Alicia, that was just fantastic. But like I asked her to just do a little bit of vocals in the beginning and a little bit of vocals for the break period in the middle of the song before it gets to the second part. And she did, but then she's like, oh, by the way, I also threw in vocal parts for this, and this. She's like, you don't have to use anything. Just, it was on my head, so I decided to try it out. And I listened to them, and I'm like, oh my God, you have just elevated this song to a completely different level. I couldn't believe the parts that I heard, and it all just came together so well. And she was telling me, these lyrics are a way for her to like work, like kind of work out some like trauma she dealt with, and you could just really feel that in the song. And I was just so happy that she was as excited about this track as I was, and I really could not have done it without her. The songwriting process was just as much with her as it was with me.
Once you got those vocals back, did you go back in to add anything into the track to help elevate those? How much work did you do after getting those back?
Honestly, I barely had to do much because like everything she gave me just worked so perfectly into the song that was already there. I honestly, actually, what I did is I actually cut the song down. It was originally like kind of like 5.5, 6 minutes long, and I wanted those vocals to really just punch. Yeah. So I cut it down to a real punchy 4.5 minutes to really emphasize those vocals and really bring it home.
I think the other thing on that, to me, that was so powerful about her delivery on it is that when you brought that up a minute ago, kind of dealing with trauma, you can hear that in it. But the other thing I really liked is it sounded like a conquering way or an elation. Like she sang a brightness to it of not, woe is me, like I'm not going to get through this. It was talking about trauma in a way that it felt like she was striding boldly forward from her trauma. And I think that added so much power to the song and just helped her delivery. Because even in the video, I mean, she's got a smile, kind of, corner of her mouth turned up and spitting the delivery out. And I think that really just added to the intensity and the power of the song.
Yeah.
So you got one?
Well, I had a question going back on the collaborations that you've done, because I'm very intrigued and interested by this. How much, when you're doing these tracks, are you thinking of these people while you're creating it? And again, if so, how is that affecting your melody structuring or the key that you're working in and all those things?
So I usually start writing a song just with the intention of kind of doing it for myself. All of my songs basically start off as just me playing around with sound design ideas. I have a folder of at least like 100 Ableton projects that are just like a couple like bass melodies or like some pads I designed or something like that. So I flesh out a song as far as I think it can go, and at a certain point I realize it like needs help from somebody else. It needs vocals. I need to leave room open for that. And if I'm writing a song with vocals on it, I want to leave it open enough so that the vocalist has room to play with the composition, play with the ideas I'm doing, and make it their own. I don't want it to just be strictly a feature. I'm not writing a song and I'm having you do the work to put some vocals on it. I want you to put like yourself into the song. And all of my vocalists have done that. They've brought something special to it and helped taken an active interest in help writing the song. And the songs are so much better for it.
No, I think that makes a huge difference, and you can always hear that when somebody is putting a piece of themselves into a vocal delivery on it. So no, I agree. So I wanted to go next into, we're a music review page, and that's what we do. And you also do a lot of DJing too, right? I mean, over in Boston, that's something that you do, and you do the Twitch stream, um, that you work on things there. Tell us 3 hot things that our listeners need to be listening to. What are 3 bands that you're excited about right now?
Okay. Oh yeah, I actually thought about this. So first one, I want to give I'm sure most of your listeners know about them, but I'm going for it anyway. Moana Exis,
Yeah.
or how you pronounce that. This year they released their album Necessary Violence, and it is probably the hardest industrial album I've heard in a very long time. It knocks me on my ass every single time I hear it, and
Yeah.
it just, like, every song sounds unique. It's the synths are just so gnarly and hard. It's been one of my most listened to things this year, and I have just been so into it. And I might be working on a few tracks with them, so I just want to give them a little bit of a shout out.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
That's something to be excited about.
Hell yeah.
I also wanted, so artists like Clipping and Horror are incredibly popular in the scene right now, and they should be. And I love the fact that hip hop is making its way back into goth and industrial, and creating like a new wave of this like dark trap sound. I want to see more of it. I'm excited that people are excited about it. And if people are interested in more artists like that, I'm going to give a shout out to this guy named Kamiyada. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Okay. Kamiyada, and a little plus sign at the end because he's super cool. His albums are just, they're so varied. He has like really hard, heavy beats. Sometimes it gets like into like cyberpunk territories. The last album was called Death Trap 2. Came out this year, and it's a really exciting album. There's a couple of tracks that basically sound like a B-side from like Nine Inch Nails' The Fragile, with just really hard verses over it. So definitely check that artist out. And what was it? Okay, I did think about this beforehand because I wanted to have good answers. Zith, Zith. Zith is an EDM artist. They do this really melodic, beautiful, like immaculately produced, like cyberpunk EDM style of music. It's if people are a fan of like what I do, this is very similar, except a kind of a more polished sound. I've actually been sitting down and just studying this album, and just all the different ways the elements like play with each other, and all the different genres they jump around to. Really incredible album. Absolutely loved it. Can't wait to see what they do in the future. And I just don't, that artist in particular is not getting nearly enough attention. So I really want to shout that name out. Zith, everybody, Zith.
I love it. We'll look it up on the Bandcamp, and we'll link it into the interview in the comments so that people can click on this and go look it up. So great. Next thing I wanted to ask real quick, and I'll let you go, is your stage performance and your videos, I think, are really cool and really unique in that you're one of those that does a character a bit. You have the look and the mask, and it's on your album covers and things like that. I also, in your music, hear almost kind of that horror feel to, EBM, and, kind of a Hellraiser, Clive Barker, or, and so I wondered, both the character or whatever of Moris Blak, and then on top of that, just the sound, do you have something, whether it's books or movies or what have you, that kind of inspired this concept for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I think what inspired me more than anything is kind of just that general like concept of cosmic horror, just the idea, the ineffable, the things that we can't understand, worlds we can't access, things made popular by like H.P. Lovecraft or one of my personal favorite writers, Thomas Ligotti. I'm very inspired by Thomas Ligotti's writing, his concepts, and a lot of it. Actually, the album title "Irregularity of Being" is actually from a quote from a Thomas Ligotti book.
Nice.
I was kind of touching on earlier a little bit that, the reason I love electronic music so much is because it sounds otherworldly. It's by definition, it's a very inhuman form of music. And I guess I wanted to lean into that. I really wanted my music to feel like a new reality when you listen to it. And that's part of the reason I put on the mask. It kind of removes the human quality from when I'm playing live. I mean, I'm not wearing the mask now. I have two very separate identities. There's me, there's Brian, and then there's Moris Blak that doesn't say anything and just plays hard beats up on stage. And, I've always wanted to create a live experience for people that is the way that electronic music feels to me. And that's part of the reason I incorporate video, because I want to engage all of the senses. I want people completely in it and can't look away for a second, because this is a new universe that they've never been to, and they're a little bit scared, but they don't want to leave yet.
As all good horror films should be.
Yeah, horror influences most of what I do. If I'm not making music or working, I'm watching horror movies probably.
I'm going to steal the mic for a second, because I think this leads directly into when you're creating this in the studio. How much of this character are you bringing in? And are you needing any of the accoutrements of this character in order to find your creation?
Like when you're in the booth, do you put the mask on to do vocal takes and stuff?
Damn it.
If I'm going to be honest with you guys for a second, anytime I don't have to wear the mask, I do not. It is hard to breathe, and seeing that thing, it is cool to look at, but Moris Blak is inside of me. So
art is suffering. You have to, the mask is about the suffering. No, that's a question that we always ask for singers. If you have, like a particular, like Jared Lush had a particular pair of shoes that he had to wear, or else he couldn't really get it in the booth, or Jed had to wear nothing.
Yes. The man is naked in the closet.
Oh, I don't have any fun superstitions or anything.
Next question, though, and this has been burning at me for a year now. You have an entire armada of bass frequencies coming out of those speakers that I don't understand. How the hell are you getting such thick, intense, like they're 6 dB louder than they possibly could be? I don't understand it. What are you doing?
Have you actually a copy of the Necronomicon, which you have opened a portal to the nether realm to suck bass frequency from?
I do, but that's usually more flavoring. The bass is already made. I just bring in the demons for a little extra saturation at the end.
Just a little extra
saturation demons.
Yes.
That's a good band name. That's
it's really just been a long process. Loudness was a big goal from day one. I wanted the loudest possible music, and you talk to most electronic producers, like especially the ones starting out, that is the big question people always have. I get it constantly from like younger producers who are starting out. How do you get stuff loud? And it is a pain. It's
not just loud though. Like there's loud, and then there's
my pelvis rattles.
Yeah, my taint just tightened up, and I'm pretty sure my speaker cones just came out and actually slapped me. So
obsession and patience. That's really the secret ingredients in my bass. I try to spend I usually divide my songwriting time from my sound design time. I take a few hours where I don't even think about writing music. I just open up Serum or Vital or Phase Plan or whatever synths I'm using at the moment, and I just create sounds. I'll try to make like a few sounds and, you know, maybe like a few plucks, a few like growly basses, some pads, some leads, and just kind of get in that zone of making strange noise. And then when I open up a song later to like just like start writing, I already have the sounds there and I can just kind of tweak them for that specific song. I think that's a key to really getting unique sounding, loud, or I was gonna say angry, but just whatever mood, whatever vibe you're looking for. It's really just taking the time to explore, you know, play around, like go too far and then dial it back. That's kind of my big mantra with most of my music writing.
And then my last question, looking at the collaborations coming up on this upcoming album, holy shit, can you talk about this? Because it looks exciting as fuck.
Yeah, I'm really excited about all the different artists that I got on board for this one. You know, especially.
Do you want to say real quick the name of the album so people can look it up? And
yeah. The
remix.
Irregular Revisions Volume 2. This is my 2-part album, Irregular Revisions, which is 4 songs that were written during the time I was writing The Irregularity of Being, but either never got finished, never made it to the album. And then remixes of songs from that album from a lot of my favorite artists and a lot of friends. First one went over really well, and I'm really excited for people to hear these new takes on my songs. I got some really interesting work out of this. Excuse me. Yeah, it was great. It was great to get Cyanotic on board for this. You know, that's an artist I've been listening to for a long time. Sean, and he gave me a really like hard-hitting, like industrial EBM kind of remix of one of my songs that was definitely more on the kind of like dubsteppy side. So it was really cool to hear like a conversion of my music back to industrial. And also working with Hakes. Is there any word as to how this actually pronounced, or is that just one of the great
I always said it
mysteries?
as Hacks, but
is this a GIF scenario? I don't know.
We'll have to ask.
Yeah, we'll have to interview them and then ask them.
Find out. Yeah,
and they're great people.
Yeah,
that they like incorporated some like trap elements into their remix, and I think it's really going to blow people away.
Awesome.
So another thing that I find really exciting is you are a Boston guy, and we've traveled out there a bit, gone to some of the clubs when we were out there, and I really enjoyed the scene out in Boston when I was there. Tell me a little bit. I know obviously there's no fucking scene for anybody for anything right now, but in general, tell me a little bit about some of the clubs and things in Boston of why you like playing there and being a part of that scene.
Well, I do think I'm in a unique position to answer this because I've only been living out here for 2 years now, actually.
You didn't even get to have any fun before the world ended.
A little. I got a year of fun and then a year of pandemic. So I actually lived in Connecticut for the first 30 years of my life. And once I realized like Moris Blak was actually going somewhere, people were really responding to it. I was getting better at it. If you saw where I lived in Connecticut, you would understand this is not a good place for anyone trying to make any impact in music. So that's when I started playing shows at different cities. I was traveling to different areas in the Northeast, promoting myself, trying to get shows, still begging anyone who would give me a second to like put me up on stage.
Maple syrup festivals. No, I get it. Connecticut's cool. Like
Connecticut's great.
They're well educated.
They are. Yeah,
Are we? So I was doing a lot of traveling to New York City because, I'm a emerging musician. I need to move to New York City. I need to.
I heard they have clubs.
Shake hands. They have clubs.
I've heard that
everything.
about them.
So I did a lot of effort of, trying to network out there. And then I started going to Boston to like see like a few of the clubs out there. And I just fell in love with the community, like almost immediately. It didn't take more than like a few months of traveling out there for me to be like, oh, fuck New York, I'm not doing that. I'm moving to Boston. I want to be around these people. They just
Nice.
had like such an eclectic, interesting scene. There's clubs for any type of goth, and
Yeah.
I found like my like cool, hard hitting industrial night, and but there's like still like the goth nights and the post punk nights, and I just like the people were just so warm and accepting to me,
Yeah.
and when they found out I was going to move to New York City, they basically told me I didn't have a choice and I had to come to Boston. So, and here I am.
I love that. I love
That's
that.
awesome.
What was
Yeah.
that one way? I heard this place closed, which is sad, but was it Middle East?
What,
Was it
Middle East closed?
I heard that. Yeah.
Oh, no.
But
I hope
anyhow,
not.
I loved that place. We had a blast there. We went out there and rocked that, and it was the DJ was the keyboard player from Magnetic Fields, and
Oh.
was spinning like goth, but like mixed with kind of almost like loungy big band
It was
mixed with
great.
goth. It was super fucking
It was
cool.
great.
Yeah.
And they were so welcoming.
Yeah, everybody there was super nice and super cool.
And
so,
everybody was on the dance floor,
yeah.
which I cannot say for every city we go to. So,
Well, when the world opens up again, I'm just going to give a shout out to my favorite club night in Boston because it seems like it's still going to be open when the world opens up again. And that's Corrosion, first Saturday of the month at Brighton Music Hall.
oh yeah.
It's the best. It's, the two DJs that run it are fucking fantastic.
Yeah, who's the guy who runs that? I've talked to him before on Facebook.
It's Jared and Brian.
Brian, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the most wonderful people, and I'm so happy they conned me into moving to Boston. I'm so grateful for it.
Very, very cool.
That's awesome.
Okay, why don't you now give us a little personal flavor of how are you surviving these pandemic times? Have you picked up any new hobbies or things that you're doing around the house to keep yourself sane while you're locked in isolation other than making sick beats?
Oh, that's a really good question. If I'm being honest, all of the only thing that's really been keeping me sane throughout this whole pandemic is working on new music, learning as much as I possibly can about this craft, and kind of like learning how new synthesizers work. Because I it just feels like I have only so much time between like a day job and everything else that I've been doing that. My like really like my only unwinding during the pandemic comes from like watching movies, which I think that inspires a lot of what I do.
Sure.
There's something about being able to be dragged into a different world. And since I love horror movies, a worse world than the one I'm living in, which frankly is kind of refreshing.
Yeah, you get to come back to something not even so bad then. Somehow.
Yeah, like, well, those people are being stabbed. I'm not being stabbed. This ain't so bad.
This could be way worse.
Yeah.
I don't have a fish monster gnawing my leg
You probably
off.
fucking jinxed us, though. Like, we're probably going to get stabbing fish monsters now. Like, that'll be the next wave.
Oh, that is some Junji Ito shit that I don't want in my life.
You're on our Sounds and Shadows Facebook group too.
Yes, I am.
And you've
Great
kind of
group.
even, it's been wonderful for us. You've even done kind of like Matt Finale and done a couple of like Ask Me Anything, posts so that people could get involved and find out what your craft is and how you're doing it. What's a piece of advice that you would give now as somebody who, recently, like you said, you never expected this to take off the way that it has and, get on a label and go forward in this way? If you were starting out to yourself 5 years ago, what would you tell you to young musicians out there trying to get into this and find themselves?
If you want to be serious about music, there's really no half-assing it. You really got to like put your nose to the books and kind of learn the complete ins and outs of your craft. One thing I always carried with me were rapper LP. I'm from Run the Jewels.
Mm-hmm.
love Run the Jewels.
Yeah.
But I think one of the best piece of advice I ever learned from him is just, if you're gonna do anything, you have to be obsessed with it. You need to be thinking about it all the time and just learning ways to be better. And really like study other people and like figure out, why does this sound one way and mine sounds another? How do I get there?
Sure.
And man, most of this, I learned almost everything from YouTube. I have no training in music, none whatsoever. Yeah. I don't know music theory. I've never been to a music class. I just opened up Google and figured it out. And I am an idiot. If this idiot can do it, anybody can. I promise you.
Wait a minute. I do know musical theory, and I have been to musical class, and I can't do that. So now I have to question myself. What am I doing? What is any of this? Does anything matter for? No, I'm in it now. No.
You just asked me to do it.
Oh yeah, that's true. I just got Collin to do it all for me. All right, perfect. I'm back. Okay, I'm all right with it again.
And I just watched a shit ton of YouTube. So
YouTube videos is something that you've said there to get it. But when you say you got to put your nose in the books to make it happen, are there any in particular, whether it's a YouTube channel or a book or anything that you follow that really this took you to another level, or you learned something about how to become the music that you're making now?
The community of EDM producers on YouTube. And I'm just going to preface this right now. Dudes who make production videos about EDM on YouTube are a very specific and annoying genre of person. They are something else, but man, do they know their craft. I'll give a shout out to Rocket Power Sound.
Okay.
I think almost everything, all of my foundational knowledge of Serum, which is the synth I use most often in my music, it's the synth I started using when I found my sound, or whatever you want to call it. It's what I'm most familiar with, what I'm most comfortable with, and what I can open up and within 30 seconds make a cool sound. And I learned most of what I know from that page. I learned all this stuff by myself, but physically by myself, but I can't say I did it alone. Without these resources that these people put on YouTube, and I feel like they can't possibly be making the money that they should be from it.
Sure.
And out of that generosity, I learned how to do it myself. And I'm very grateful to be in a period of time where learning something like this has kind of been democratized. And I think that's part of the reason that I've been enjoying doing Twitch streams recently. Is I really love being able to share everything that took me years and years to learn, telling it to people as I would tell myself when I'm learning from the first time. I mean, there are things that I do as soon as I open up a project file, like certain things I do to a kick, certain things I do to a pad or a bass that, man, I really wish I told myself that 4 years ago. I could have not sucked way quicker.
If only I had not sucked quicker. Yeah, I say that to myself constantly.
It's important.
All right. So this has been awesome. Collin, do you have a parting shot before I would like Brian to set up and introduce the video?
Well, it's just really bugging me. I need to know, what are the monsters on your mantle?
Monsters on my mantle? Oh, shit. Oh. Oh yeah, we're bringing this over.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
This is a sculpture I made when I was 17.
That's awesome.
Kind of has a trauma kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I've always been weird and obsessed with horror, and I think I actually went to school for art back in the day. And I was one of those kids where the art teacher was really trying to convince me to draw something other than monsters, but I really did not want to.
You were just into monsters.
I love monsters. They're great. Drawing monsters are better than what? People? People suck.
Yeah.
Monsters are great. Everybody loves monsters.
Well, if you can draw a really good monster, you can draw people.
Yeah, easy.
So they've
Yeah,
just
they have like soft features. Like, no, I just want to like draw gnarled stuff.
yeah.
That's awesome. Do you get, so you both have giant student loans from art degrees? That's something that you can connect on.
We certainly do. We certainly do.
That's beautiful.
Totally worth it.
Collin is an amazing visual artist as well, and does a lot of, and he actually has a terrifying sculpture right over there that stares at me every time I try and do band practice and looks into my soul and rips it out through my eyes.
Yep. And his name is Walter.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Walter. Well, I'm sure you're proud to be like me and a proud member of the generational debt that we're suffering.
Yep. I this year I just started. I've been out of school for over 10 years, and I just started a job actually in the art field. So
oh, damn! Congratulations. I gave up.
They do exist. I did too. I went into corporate management and burnt out and found a job painting murals. I'm painting churches.
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's kind of weird. But
see, I was discouraged by the art world and decided to pursue a much safer career in being an industrial musician.
Yeah, obviously.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've touched on it a little bit, some of the reasons why I love this, but at the end here, I want to play this new video and share it with everybody. But why don't you pretend like, I've been watching a lot of old like Johnny Carson interviews lately on YouTube. I don't know. I felt like down a rabbit hole of like
cultured.
Yeah. Like, you know, Robin Williams in the 70s and shit. Like, and yeah. So I would like you to pretend like I am Mr. Carson talking to you now and be like, so we're about to see a clip, and I would like you to set it up for us and explain what we're going to see in this clip. And why that's important and relevant to you. Please explain.
So I consider this video a remarkable feat of DIY spirit, just because I only had so much money I can throw into this, and I was really going on the good graces of friends and their creative spirit on top of this. Alicia managed to find someone to help with lighting and photographing to shoot her parts over all the way in Australia and send it back to me and my wonderful photographer, Teddy Petrosky, Epsilon Arts. Go check it out. He actually is the one who did the Irregularity of Being album art as well.
Nice.
His work is unbelievably amazing. Go check it out. And he was very excited to work on this video. I definitely credit him for helping develop my aesthetic. I had an idea of what I wanted to be, and I was following that. And then when I met him, things definitely took off, and I really kind of found what I was supposed to be.
Sure.
And he took a very personal interest in this video. We shot the parts together. We spent so many hours sitting down together, actually editing this video, and we're just very happy that it came out the way it did, and people seem to actually like it. That was surprising.
It's phenomenal.
Well,
thank you.
I said right away when we started watching this that, man, this matches your aesthetic so perfectly and closely. Like, every element about it really falls into what I see coming out of you visually and auditorily. So
thank you.
Well done.
So we're very excited for the future here for Moris Blak. Please keep a lookout. Like and subscribe. We're going to have more great interviews like this in the future. But without further ado, this is Burying Place by Moris Blak featuring Alicia May. And keep it fucking dark, yo.
Bit my tongue for you. Well, you buried the truth, oh little baby. When the lights went out, all I had was you. Now I've lost that too. had the pleasure of breaking.